You ever wonder how some companies, say Apple, just seem to nail it every single time with new products? Well, most others just don't. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not magic, it's not luck, it's a playbook. And today, we're going to tear that playbook apart. We're going to figure out why so many companies fail, and more importantly, how the best ones, the real winners, consistently get it right.
All right, to really get this, let's think of it like a game. Picture this. You walk up to a poker table, you sit down, and the dealer just casually tells you, hey, just so you know, the odds of you winning any hand are 7-1 against you. Would you even play? Would you risk your money? Well, guess what? If you're in the business of creating new products, you're already at that table. You're playing that game every single day. Because those odds, that's the cold, hard reality of product innovation. The research is absolutely clear on this. For every, 7 new product ideas that pop up, on average, maybe 4 even get into development. From there, if you're lucky, 1.5 actually get launched. And a commercial success, just 1. A single 1. I mean, those odds are just brutal. And right there, that's what we call the innovation paradox. On one hand, we all know that new products are the engine for growth, right? They're the lifeblood of a company. But on the other hand, the whole process is a total gamble, a crapshoot. The risks are huge, and the failure rate is just staggering. And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. Think about it. The best companies, the ones who win, they're like professional poker players. They're calculated, they study the other players, they have a system, they do their homework. And you know what? They know exactly when to fold a bad hand. But most companies, they're the amateurs at the table. They're just playing on gut feelings, on a hunch, pushing forward someone's pet project. They're basically just gambling away millions and millions of R&D dollars with absolutely no real disciplined process.
So what does that actually look like in the real world? What's the difference in results between the pros and the rest of us? Let me tell you, it's not a small gap. It is a massive, almost unbelievable chasm between the best and the rest. And it all starts with just basic execution. Look at this. The top innovators, they launch their products on time almost 80% of the time. The worst performers, they barely crack 20%. That's a 4-fold difference. The best are 4 times more likely to just do what they promised. When they promise, they do it. Simple as that. And of course, that kind of discipline, it shows up on the bottom line. Big time. I mean, just look at these numbers. It's kind of crazy. The best get nearly 40% of their sales from new products. That's 4 times more than the rest. Their commercial success rate is over double, and hitting their profit targets almost 3 times as likely. We're not talking about small improvements here. These are completely different universes of performance. So, you gotta ask yourself, which side of this table does your company look like? Be honest. So, how do they do it? What's the secret sauce? Well, here's the thing. This massive gap, it's not about luck. It's not about 1 or 2 random blockbuster hits. No, the best companies win again and again because they have absolutely mastered a handful of critical, repeatable success drivers. It's just baked into how they operate. It's in their DNA.
And here it is, the big one, the single most important factor for success, the #1 driver of profitability. More important than anything else is having a unique, superior product, a product that is genuinely different and delivers incredible value to the customer. I know, it sounds blindingly obvious, right? But this is exactly where most products fall flat.
But okay, what does superior actually mean? It's kind of a buzzword. It's not about cramming in more features. No. From the customer's perspective, it's all about unique benefits. It means having a compelling value proposition. It means providing better value than anything else out there. It means top-notch quality. And this is key. The benefits have to be super easy for the user to see and understand. Instantly.
So how do you get there? How do you build one of these amazing products? Well, you don't just hope for the best at the end of a long development cycle. The seeds of success, or let's be real, failure, are planted way, way back at the beginning. It all happens in the super critical but so often ignored phase called the front-end homework. This is all the heavy lifting you do before a single line of code is written or a single prototype is built. It's the market research, the customer interviews, the competitive analysis, all of it.
But, and this is the crazy part, here's where everything goes wrong for most companies. You see that little sliver? That's the front-end homework, the single most important part of the entire process. The part that literally determines success or failure gets a measly 7% of the project's money and effort. It's insane. Companies basically starve the most crucial phase and then they're shocked when the project fails. It's a self-inflicted wound.
Okay, another huge mistake that the best companies just don't make. They never ever develop a product in a vacuum. Instead, they use a process called spiral development. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful idea. You build something small and fast, a prototype. Then you get it into the hands of real customers and you test it. You get their raw, honest feedback. And then you revise it based on what you just learned. And you just keep doing that. Build, test, feedback, revise, over and over. You do this loop early and you do it often. That way, you're pretty much guaranteed to end up with a product that people actually want to buy.
Okay, so right about now, you're probably thinking, this all sounds great, but how do we actually make this happen? How do we put it into practice? Well, the top innovators, they don't just hope for the best. They have a system, a formal, disciplined framework that builds all of these success drivers right into their process. And that system is called StageGate.
And honestly, the concept behind it is super simple. Basically, you break down the entire innovation process into a series of distinct stages. A stage is where the team does the actual work. You know, the research, the business case, the development. And then between each stage, you have a gate. A gate is just a decision point. It's a meeting where the leaders get together, look at the evidence, and make a tough call. Does this project get more money and resources to move to the next stage? It's a simple go or kill decision.
So here's what that looks like in the real world. You've got your ideas floating around in the discovery phase, but to go any further, an idea has to pass through that first gate. If it makes it, it goes to stage 1, which is just some quick scoping. If it passes the next gate, then you get to stage 2, where you build out the full business case. The whole point here is that a project has to earn its way forward with real data at every single step. It has to prove its worth before it ever gets to the really expensive parts, like development and launch. The whole system is designed to be a funnel. Its job is to weed out the weak ideas as early and as cheaply as possible. But, and this is a huge but, the entire StageGate system, it lives or dies on one single thing, the quality of the decisions that are made at those gates. And this, right here, is where most companies completely drop the ball. They might have the stages on paper, they go through the motions of the meetings, but when it comes time to make the hard call, they just can't do it. And we have the data to prove it. Get this, a staggering 76%. That is more than 3 out of every 4 companies admit they have way too many projects going on for the resources they actually have. Just let that sink in for a second. They know they're stretched too thin. They are knowingly and willingly setting their own teams up for failure.
So what happens next is completely predictable. When your gates have no teeth, when you never say no, your process stops being a funnel. It's not filtering anything. Instead, it becomes a tunnel. Everything that goes in one end just keeps going and eventually comes out the other end, whether it's a great idea or a terrible one. And the result? Your best people and your money are spread way too thin. Good projects get starved. Everything slows down, and your whole development pipeline just turns into one giant, immovable logjam.
Now, the author of the book we're drawing from, he uses a pretty provocative phrase to drive this point home. Look, nobody enjoys killing projects. We get attached to them, right? They're like our little babies. But if you want your best projects to succeed, if you want them to have the people, the money, the focus they need to really thrive, you absolutely have to be willing to kill the weaker ones. And honestly, that's the single most important and probably the hardest job of any leader in the innovation space. So let's wrap this up with one final question for you. I want you to take a really hard, honest look at how your own company develops new products. Is your process a true funnel? Is it a disciplined system designed to find and fast-track your absolute best ideas? Or is it a tunnel, where pretty much every idea gets a green light and you end up with total gridlock and, let's face it, a bunch of mediocre products? Because the answer to that question, well, it's going to tell you whether you're set up to win or lose at this incredibly high-stakes game of innovation.